Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to refresh your memory with a decision matrix here. This is a good example of a decision matrix that you worked on last year with Mr. Hogue. And what we're going to do is I'm going to explain how this is set up. And then I'm going to give you a sample. We're going to do one together so you can kind of see how the operation is. So you want to do a decision matrix anytime you have several choices for a design that you want to do. And if you have a particular selection criteria that you need to follow to make sure that you choose the idea, okay? So just to kind of look at what we have here, and this is typically done in Excel because we're going to use Excel to help us with the calculations to see which one is the best idea. And the nice thing about using the decision matrix, it gives you a numerical justification for which idea is the best, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to list our options up here on this in these columns. So right now this decision matrix is set up for 6 options. You can have less than that, you can have more than that. So whatever you'd like to do, your different options for the designs. And then over here in this first column, you're going to have your selection criteria. So this is what you need to think about with respect to all of these designs in order to make sure that you pick the best one, okay? So you should go ahead and start off with writing down your ideas up here and then writing down your selection criteria or the category here in that first column. The next important column to talk about is weight. And that's basically here, like on a scale from 1 to 5, or you can use 1 to 10, whatever you like. Which one is going to have the heaviest impact, or which one is going to have the heaviest impact on your decision? Which one is going to have the lightest impact on your decision? Okay, so for example, here, we've got these here. It looks like the form is going to have the least impact on the decision that you're going to make. And the functions well or the cam or linkage for movement is going to have the most impact to make the decision. Okay. After we decide on that weight, then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the options up here and we're going to do the weighted, we're going to do the score for each one. So if you see the blue boxes right here, they're the ones, the light blue boxes up on top. We're basically taking these 6 ideas and putting them in order. So you want the one that has the best option to have the highest score. So it would be kind of counter, I guess, to what you would normally do. You would put best as number 1. In this case, you want to put the best with the highest number. That way it gives you the best result. And here, number 1 is going to be the worst one. So out of these ideas, which is going to be the worst in terms of size, which is going to be the best in terms of size. Then you look at creativity, which is going to be the best out of creativity. You would put a 6, which is going to be the worst out of creativity. You would put a 1, and so on. And you continue all the way down through your criteria. I would say for criteria, it would be good to have a minimum of 4 or more. So I'd say if you have 4 criteria, that's good, or you can place more there. Now, the next thing you need to do after you consider the weight and after you consider the score, you need to do the weighted score. What that is you're going to take this number here, the weight, times the score, and you're going to put the product in this darker cell here, okay? And the reason for that is you need to make sure that you give it the weight. You're going to make sure that something that has a heavier weight is going to count more towards making your decision. So basically, you're going to come up with this times that equals that. Okay, when you do that, you can actually do a formula with a cell that repeats or doesn't repeat. That way, it's a little bit easier to do. You're going to do that for each row, and you can see that these formulas are already set up. The very last step in your decision matrix is you're going to take all these weighted scores for each column and you're going to add them together. So you're going to add these cells here, which are the weighted ones. Do not add the scores, add the weighted scores only, and that'll give you your total here. And the item or the option that has the highest total is your winner, okay? So we're going to do an example together just to kind of like practice that so you can see. Now what I did was I went ahead and came up with something for a dinner party. So let's say that we're having a dinner party and we want to know what entree do we want to serve. Okay, so we can put something in here to just kind of let us know what exactly we want to do. Okay, so what I did is I chose a couple of popular options: tacos, stuffed shells, crab cakes, and spaghetti. I think these are things that everybody likes, or, you know, a lot of people like. And for the selection criteria, what we decided to put in was price. How expensive is it? How much expertise is required? Is it well received, liked by a lot of people? How much time is required to do this? And are the ingredients easy to get? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our weights in. Now, as far as price, I think that is definitely very important. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in as a 5. Okay. I think that well received, liked should definitely be up there too. That should be a 4. I think that expertise required is probably a 3. That way you don't have to get extra help. Time required, I'm going to say that that's a 2. And actually, I'll say that that's a 1. And then I'm going to say easy ingredients, that's a 2. Okay, now for argument's sake, we could probably argue about what the weights are here, but we're just going to put numbers in to make sure that we can see, we can do our operation. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to fill in the score. This is where I'm going to fill in each row here for each of these options. Okay, so I've got price. Which one of these is the cheapest? Which one of these is the most expensive? Okay, probably the cheapest one is going to be either tacos or spaghetti. So I'm going to put in here, that's going to be a 4. And I'm going to put over here in spaghetti, I'm going to put that a 3. Okay. Stuffed shells and crab cakes are probably going to be the more expensive ones. So I'll put crab cakes as the most expensive and stuffed shells as the second most. Expertise required. I would say that the easiest one to do would probably be tacos. So I'm going to say 4 there. And I'd say spaghetti is probably also pretty easy to do. Stuffed shells, I think that would be the 1. That's going to be the hardest one to make. And crab cakes would be second. Okay, well received and liked. I think, in my opinion, I think crab cakes would probably be the best because I think a lot of people would really like crab cakes. I would say that would be definitely a 4. For stuffed shells, I would say that would probably be a 3 because they're kind of fancy. Spaghetti is pretty well liked. I would say that's a 2. And I would say tacos is a 1. Okay, and of course we can all make arguments for these. Time required. Okay, time required, I would say spaghetti would definitely be the fastest one to do. Tacos, I would say, would definitely be that would be the second easiest. Stuffed shells, I would say that would be last. So that's going to take the longest. So I'll put that as a 1 and I'll put crab cakes as a 2. Easy ingredients, I would say tacos and spaghetti are going to be very, they're going to be very close for which one's the best, which one's the second best. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll make this one 4. Since time required, we flipped that. I'll go ahead and change that to 3. And easy ingredients, I would say stuffed would be 2. And I would say crab cakes would be 1, because depending upon the time of year, it might be a little bit more difficult to do that. Okay, so now we have all of our scores. We have all of our weights. We need to do the weighted scores next. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to multiply this column by this cell and put the answer here for each one. So I'm going to go equals. I'm going to multiply this one times that one, and I'm going to put that there. Okay. Now, I could copy and paste that across, but when I do that, it's going to move the cell for B5 over. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put a $sign, okay, just to make this a cell that doesn't move. That way, when I copy and paste it, that is always going to be there. So I'll copy this, And I'm going to paste this over just to make it a little bit easier. And we can double check our numbers, and it looks like all of our numbers are correct. Okay, so same thing with this one. I'm going to go equals this number times that number, and I'm going to go ahead and put my dollar signs in here. That way I know that it'll always use that cell for that calculation in that row. And then I'm going to copy and paste that over here for the remaining pieces. Okay, so we're good so far. We've got three more rows that we have to do. So I'm going to do those now. This cell times that cell, and I'll put my dollar signs in here. So it grabs the correct cell when I do my calculations. Okay, I hope you guys see how that works. And I've got two more to do. This one times that one, dollar signs, and copy and paste. And I'm just checking my calculations as I go just to make sure that we are good and it looks like everything is looking okay. Okay, and then I've got my last one, and then we'll be ready to move on for the next set of calculations. Okay, that's the last one there. And here comes the last row. And there we go. Okay, so now I've got all those numbers. Now I got to figure out which one is the best idea. Is it going to be, which one's going to be the winner? Is it going to be tacos, stuffed shells, crab cakes, or spaghetti? So what I'm going to do here is I have to do some addition to get those totals. So I'm going to go equals. I could use the sum command if I want, but since these cells are kind of like separated, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the ones, and I got to be sure to click the weighted scores. I'll do that, and I'll hit plus, plus, plus the weighted score. Whoops, and I forgot one. It's okay. That weighted score and one more weighted score, and there's my total. Okay, now since I've gone ahead and done that already, and you can see that I've gone ahead and click back in there, and it highlighted everything there just to double check to make sure I've got all the weighted scores highlighted, and I do. I'm going to hit enter on that, and then I can copy and paste this formula across since it follows the same pattern across. That way it's less work for me. Okay. And it turns out, according to the selection criteria, the weighting, it looks like tacos is my winner for today. Okay, followed close by a second place of spaghetti. Okay, so that is how we do decision matrices, and I just wanted to show you a very simple example. So again, we have this format. We've got to be very careful. This one has nice shading in it. You can do the shading if you like. You can make this bold just to make it a little bit easier to understand, but I wanted to share with you how that was done. It's also a good idea to put a rationale underneath of your decision matrix. That way you can kind of like walk through the explanation in a really good developed paragraph. Okay, so that's it, and hope you have good luck with making your decision matrix.